Go. Right 6 over crest.
The Dirt franchise has spent far too many years out in the wilderness. I like to think of it as a lone dusty Subaru Impreza trundling through the Australian Outback like a modern day Herbie, and now that Impreza is rolling back into town. In 2015 and through into 2016, Dirt Rally was an outstanding example of rally racing, taking the series back to its Colin McRae roots, but it was also more of a proof of concept, an internal experiment at Codemasters to show that rallying could be hardcore and popular at the same time. In that regard, it succeeded, and it shifted the course of Dirt 4's development quite significantly. It's because of this that one of the first things that you see when you load up the game for the first time is a choice between gamer and simulation handling. The latter has an awful lot in common with Dirt Rally's handling model, while the former takes this and tones it down, making it more forgiving, taking it closer towards the difficulty of the last numbered games, if not its particular style of handling. There's an awful lot more granularity to the options beyond this, letting you find the right balance of difficulty for you, with a greater bonus to experience the higher the difficulty that you set. It is obviously at its best with some form of simulation handling and a racing wheel in your hands. Where Dirt Rally featured dozens of stages across different locations, Dirt 4 is underpinned by the Your Stage system that can effortlessly generate new and unique stages for you to hurtle along. In truth, you only have a cursory input into a level's length and complexity if you take control of the generator, making it something of a misnomer, but it works fantastically well. You might also wonder where it actually is in the game, as it hides in the background without a mention in the game's menus. It is there though, in free play or in career, in the multiplayer. It is in every single rally that you race in this game. It leads to a fundamental shift in how you play the game, and Codemasters, following on from Dirt Rally, have built the gameplay around it. There's no rewinding time for one thing, which has been featured in so many Codemasters games over the last decade, and there's only limited restarts depending on the difficulty that you set. It really pushes you to race what's in front of you instead of learning a stage by rote, forcing yourself to absorb the co-pilot's instructions, which practically never skip a beat during all of this, reading the road ahead of you and reacting to the hazards that you face. There is, however, a sense of deja vu at times, as I notice some rather familiar dips, turns and hairpins that feel eerily similar to something that I've seen before. I'm also dubious of the calculated pace of the AI, who seem able to race ahead down any of the gently twisting and bumpy straights, as we might call them, that crop up in a stage. Though this could equally be my own inability to live up to the game's "Be Fearless" tagline. It feels like there's a step up between challenging difficulty, which is the second tier, and actually isn't all that challenging, and then the demanding and tough difficulties, with the latter being fairly consistently able to outpace me. Landrush and Rallycross, on the other hand, use a number of bespoke tracks with different layouts for each, with Rallycross featuring tracks and locations that cropped up in Dirt Rally. A mixture of shifting surfaces and some particularly twitchy vehicles make this very challenging at times, and the ease with which you can be spun out by contact can lead to some rather frustrating races that can easily drain your pool of restarts if you're going for the win in particular. With the granular difficulty, I'd recommend simply knocking the AI difficulty down a notch if that becomes the case, while racing in third person can give you the spatial awareness that you need where the spotters can only really give you small amounts of information. The career takes you through all sides of the games, with rallying, Landrush, Rallycross and historical car rallies, but one touch that I really appreciate is that you don't need to win every single race or category in order to progress. Simply completing an event tallies towards unlocking the next tier and the next discipline. That's a big part of what rallying really is all about. You can't always expect to compete at the front, and this again ties into the removal of rewinding and the sensibilities of your stage, and it is so gratifying to see that in this game. As soon as you've got a couple of events under your belt, you can set up your own team and race under your own name, while almost always having the fallback of being able to race under another team's banner if you don't have an eligible car in your garage. This is an overarching system, letting you build up your team, add engineers, improve facilities, and grow your garage from the credits that are earned across almost any mode. Though it is a step up over what was in Dirt Rally, it can still feel fairly inconsequential a lot of the time, amounting to lowered repair prices, improved default setups, and letting you sign more sponsors to adorn your car's livery. Sponsors, however, add additional objectives to each event, ranging from finishing with minimal penalty time or without major crashes to placing in a particular bracket in a race. Meet objectives and they could come back with a better offer next time. It's a simple system and it kind of just sits in the background again, but it's easy to lose track of when contracts will run out and you have to head back to the main menu and then into the sponsors and branding section, which for some reason requires you to load up a garage area just to simply chuck a few sponsors onto your car. The overall presentation, however, is one thing that Dirt 4 absolutely gets right. Gone is the dude bro attitude of Dirt 3 and Showdown in favour of something much more subdued and tasteful, also without resorting to purist sterility. There's also some great attention to detail throughout, such as the soundtrack carrying on interloading screens and then pulling the classic Hollywood trick of transitioning to the sound of a PA system in your garage, and even just the little beep to let you know that the stage has loaded is a tiny little touch of class, even if you could really have just let it play the area intro straight afterwards. And on the racing side of things, it's just the way that fences and poles resist your car's force just a fraction of a second when you crash into them. The idea behind Dirt 4 is to keep you playing day in, day out. That could be heading online for a few races with your friends or in other multiplayer lobbies, taking part in the match-made Pro Tour that cycles through different cars each day in a kind of season system, or taking on the daily, weekly and monthly community events, which can range from a single stage through to what amounts to an entire season of rallying that you can tackle across a whole month. Alternatively, simply head into free play and have a quick bash in any of the 4 categories, creating your own races and championships. One oddity throughout all of this is that the amount of credits that you earn from custom events pale in comparison to the amount that you earn from doing the same races in the career. And beyond that, Land Rush and Rallycross actually earn much more for a series of short races compared to the lengthy and draining rallies that you race through. On the other hand, this is a boon for those who would happily grind through events in order to earn enough money to fill out their garage of cars as quickly as possible. While I really enjoy a lot of what Dirt 4 does differently to Dirt 3, some of that playfulness from that game has been lost in the intervening years. For example, the Dirt Academy tutorial mode and the Joyride's block-smashing minigames and time trials all take place around the free-roaming Dirtfish warehouse compound. There was something similar in Dirt 3, but where that allowed you to go and hoon around this area with your friends, here it is a purely single-player experience. Similarly, other old options are missing, like having sequential starts in online rallies so that you're all sharing the same track but you are delayed and staggered out. And there's no party modes like Cat and Mouse, which was one of my favourite things about Dirt 3. Finally, while it may appear somewhere down the line, it's still somewhat disappointing that virtual reality support is not within Dirt 4 at launch. It was one of the best features of Dirt Rally and initially built in the PC version of the game before becoming paid DLC on console. It will presumably follow the latter path if and when it is added to Dirt 4 down the line. In the end, Dirt Rally was just a small peek at what was still to come, with Dirt 4 bringing this long-running series back in full, with not just rallying but much more full-on wheel-to-wheel action alongside it. In going for a more focused style of game and a more demure attitude, it's lost some of Dirt 3's hyperactivity and fun, but with a limitless supply of new stages to send your car hurtling along, Dirt 4 is kind of a rallying game for the ages if you think about it. Thanks for checking out our video review for Dirt 4, and I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got any questions or requests, obviously chuck them in the comments below. We'd also really appreciate it if you like this, subscribe and share with your friends. Also, head over to thesixthaxis.com for this and plenty more games coverage, and hopefully we will see you again soon. Goodbye!
Keep middle of the crest, keep left of the crest, 60. Left 4 over bumper, right 3 over bumper, and right 4 long through dips.